Bonnaroo! Ladies and gentlemen, your 2023 Bonnaroo poster list, names of all the artists, whatever you want to call it, it has officially been announced. This is great. It came out about a month earlier than it typically does because I always remember it coming out around the Super Bowl. And this year we got it early, so I can't complain. And right out of the gates, I love this list. Of course, you know, there's always going to be people who hot take us that don't like it. But as a person who's been to Bonnaroo 18-19, bought tickets for 2021, went to 22, from the get-go, I love this list. It is pretty solid. It is good. Let's go ahead and just dive straight into this. From the get-go, your three main headliners are going to be Kendrick Lamar, Odessa, and Foo Fighters. And excuse me if I botch any of these names. But with that, it seems like Kendrick Lamar, that's going to be your rap headliner. That kind of reminds me of how J. Cole was last year. Odessa, that's your EDM headliner. And then Foo Fighters, that's going to be your legacy act. That definitely, and I'm guessing off the top, that is going to be your closer for the whole entire festival, which I cannot complain. I will say, though, Sundays, I am tired on Sundays. So I hope I can tough it out and be wide awake for Foo Fighters. Because before Foo Fighters, you're going to have Paramore. That's going to be fun. It's going to be great to see them at the farm again. I saw them in 2018. Solid show. Hope they play Misery Business and Crush. I will be honest. But from the get-go, the list itself, there's a lot to like about it. There's a lot of EDM. You got a lot of rappers. I always like it when there's pop involved. Of course, there's rock. Legacy acts, those are always nice to see. But one thing I noticed is that they're still trying to bring in artists from 20 and 21. They're still sneaking those in there. Trying to look around off the top because I'm reading the list. I'm really freestyling this. But like one example I see looking at this right now is Elderbrook. I believe they're on 21. Big Wild, that's 2020. Hippo Campus, they came from 2018. There's a lot of 2018 in here. One thing I do notice as a jam band guy, I'm looking right now, I do have the autograph set list from 22's Bonnaroo of Pigeons playing ping pong. But right now, I don't recognize any jam bands, but as you're listening to this, granted, I am not one of those guys who knows the list top to bottom. I know a decent amount of the list from the get-go, but I'm not going to act like I know every single artist. Like for Thursday, for example, Zed's Dead is the main artist that I'm aware of. But Zed's Dead and Liquid Stranger, having those two headline your Thursday reminds me of Griffin from last year. It is so much fun having EDM artists headline a Thursday, especially when they play. I love it when they play on the other stage because it kind of goes down a hill a little bit. Oddly enough, it looks like that stage, it looks like the hill itself goes down more when there's a whole crowd there compared to when you see it just empty. I thought that was interesting. I noticed that last year. Me and my buddy, we couldn't figure out. I don't know. Maybe we're just being goofy. I would assume so. But like I mentioned, when I look at Thursday off the dome, Zed's Dead and Liquid Stranger, those are going to be your EDM closers. Love that. One thing I love about Thursday, and this is why I always tell people, especially those who like aren't going or they just like rock really, where they just want to hot take the list, like, oh, it sucks, when they really don't know anything about it. One thing I want to mention, part of the fun is discovering and looking up new artists. I love doing that every single year. That's why when a Bonnaroo list comes out, of course there's names I want to recognize. Of course there's, artists I'm a fan of, I want to see there. But part of the fun is finding all these artists, especially like I was talking about earlier, there are artists that come back. If I never paid attention or gone through and looked up every single artist from Bonnaroo, from 18, 19, 20, Virtual Roo, 21, 22, I wouldn't know these artists. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, you can always use Spotify. If you like music videos, of course, there's YouTube. I personally use Apple Music. So what I do is that I look up the artist's name and I look up their top 8 songs, and that kind of helps me figure out if I want to, listen to them more, or because sometimes it does take about 3 seconds to figure out if you're into a song or not. Sometimes I skip through it. And there's no perfect way of finding artists, at least if you just went through album after album. But let's be honest, if you're listening to an artist that's just not really your vibe, don't waste your time with it. Of course, there's so many artists to go around. But let me go through here. Like I mentioned, Thursday, that's kind of a big discovery day, and all these days are discovery days. Not like it's like good luck knowing everyone if you do, and that's impressive. The guys from the What podcast, those guys, the guy in the middle, gosh dang it, what's his name? I can't remember all three of those names, but check out the What podcast on YouTube, of course. It's a great Bonnaroo podcast. It's the only one that I listen to. I think there might be two more, but that's kind of why I want to do this, because I like to hear all the voices and opinions on these Bonnaroos. I love it. I soak it in. Like I mentioned, I got the autograph set list from pitchers playing ping pong last year. I was like, I can't remember how much I spent. I want to say that was about $250, and which is almost the price of a ticket. Also, one thing I want to mention as I'm in the middle of this, if you're looking to buy Bonnaroo tickets, I would say the sooner the better, because they sell them in tiers. So, like, for example, I bought mine a little bit after Black Friday. So, and I believe tickets are still going for $300 right now. So that was the price of mine. Of course, once you do taxes, if you do insurance, anytime extra things, of course, that's going to vary. But I always tell people, I think the most expensive it goes up to is $375. Do not quote me on that, but do take my advice. The sooner, the better. And then and when you first buy it, it's just the ticket first. The whole parking passes, all that. That is a different transaction. So back to the list. Kendrick Lamar. I'm going through Friday now. Because like I mentioned Thursday, I need to discover all those artists. I hope there is some jam bands in there. I would not lie. I love me some jam bands. But Friday, we got Kendrick Lamar, Baby Keith. I'm not going to go through every single one of these because you guys are probably just listening to this. Wolfpack. I'm a bass player. I call myself a bass player. I make music, but I keep it to myself. I'm not ready to finish it. I haven't finished it or released anything yet. But Wolfpack, he's got a couple fun bass songs. I do like those. Griz. One thing that's interesting about Griz is that Griz was there at 2019, but he also was the SuperJam. And another person here at Bonnaroo is going to be about to botch their name. If I can find it. Gosh dang, give me a second. Oh, there they are, right underneath Griz. Sylvan Esso. I'm probably saying that wrong, even though I listened to them. But those, Griz and, what's it called, Esso. Griz and Esso. Griz did 2019. Esso did the 2018 SuperJam. So it'd be kind of interesting. I could imagine them being part of the SuperJam. I'm surprised it's not announced yet. But Haley Williams, she's got to be part of from Paramore. She's got to be part of the SuperJam. That'd be awesome. But here's an artist that my friends are buying tickets now because of this artist. Portugal the Man. Let me tell you something. When Portugal the Man and Alt J went on tour in 2021, I believe, 2021, Portugal the Man, what you see live versus the recordings, yes, it is similar, but when you see them live, they can jam. They rock. They came out to Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica, and they're doing Nirvana covers. It was great. It was great. It was one of those where the band recorded and the band live, there is a difference. So anybody's listening to this, Portugal the Man, that is a recommendation from me. Every year there seems like there's a legacy rapper. Like my first year, 2018, was T-Pain. I believe 2020 had Nelly. I can't remember 2022 had one, but 3 6 Mafia. That's the one that's surprising a lot of people. So I'm ready to dive into 3 6 Mafia. This is gonna make some people cringe. But really the main thing I know about 3 6 Mafia is that they had some secret album, and some rich guy who owned a bunch of EpiPens was the one who bought that album and wouldn't release it. That's like really the only thing I know about 3 6 Mafia. Moving on, AFI. I'm a pop punk guy. I want to get tickets when we were young, especially with Green Day and Blink-182 being the headliners for that. But AFI, I'm excited for. Going through the rest of the list. Diesel. I have a question for anybody on that. When I first saw Diesel, I thought that was supposed to be Shaq. So I hope I'm right. I would love to see Shaq at Bonnaroo. But if not, no biggie. Can't wait to look up that artist. Knuck Loose, that was another interesting pick. Kind of diving into the emo pop punk scene, which I find ironic because since When We Were Young festival blew up, and then you saw MGK headline last year. That's where I noticed the pop punk emo scene be creeping in a little bit. But that even goes before the whole MGK headlining, which I was there. I loved the show. I really did. I noticed a lot of people were hot taking Bonnaroo for doing that. But one thing I do trust, I trust the people putting Bonnaroo together. They know what are good or great shows. So anytime there's a headliner and you don't like it, or you might have a hot take on it, I would say trust the people putting this list together and try it out. You might honestly like it. I know there's a lot of people for the MGK show. We're kind of more there to see how it goes, and everybody had a good time. It was a rocking show, it really was. But moving on, let me see the rest of the list. I'm going to move on to Saturday. Odessa. Odessa played in 2019. Great show. Ready for that. That's probably going to be the closer. Well, I'm looking up because by closer, I always assume that as being the last act. But these shows be going until 2 in the morning. I would say, which the next artist I'm about to move up to. Hang on. I'll go right back to that. Odessa, Lil Nas X, Tyler Childers. I'm probably botching that. Everybody knows that one song. Something in skirts of her thighs. I don't know. Forgive me on that. What does he say? Da, 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 on the inside of her thighs. I have to look it up. It's the one song I know. For any guy who's tried to get a country girl, and that's the song you pretend that you know. You play it and you just hum the lyrics. But I would say the artist that a lot of people are most interested in, just talking off the top, is my friends included, because I said Portugal the Man and My Morning Jacket. If there's one artist who Bonnaroo has many different sounds, but if I had to make a tier 1 list of artists, like, hey, this is a corner, or this is one of the many sounds, or this is a top-notch artist that represents Bonnaroo, My Morning Jacket. I can't wait to hear One Big Holiday right in front of me. They have some solid albums too, so I would recommend. Is it called It's Alive? It's got the bear on the cover. I would recommend listening to that album top to bottom. Golden, that's another solid one. So I'm glad they're back. Because they were supposed to be. When was the last time My Morning Jacket was at Bonnaroo? It's not since I started going in 2018. But what you call it? But they were supposed to be there, I believe, in 20 or 21. Because sometimes 20 and 21 gets a bit confusing because a lot of it was they were pretty similar in a couple areas. But one of them, My Morning Jacket, was supposed to have like 3 hours, a 3-hour set, and it was supposed to be right after Tam Impala too. So that was nuts. That had to been, maybe that was 21. I don't know. Well, I just have to look it up. But moving on, the next name that I recognize, which this is very ironic, because 2 of these artists are on the same day. For anybody who watched the Woodstock '99 documentary, it was on Netflix. Great documentary. If you love music festivals in general, the Firefest documentary and the Woodstock '99, I love those. But Cord and Sheryl Crow, they're both at Woodstock '99, and I think that kind of plays a role. Sheryl Crow, she's at 2018. Bonnaroo artist, great show. But I think Korn has a bit of an uprising going on right now. I wouldn't be surprised if they pop up on some other list. Korn kind of reminds me of Tool being at Bonnaroo. But I do think the Woodstock '99, I wouldn't be surprised if that played a role. So I'm excited to see them. Their bass, they turn, I don't know what they do, but that freaking string, I'm guessing the E string, for those who know, that thing's got to be toned down or tuned down all the freaking way. It sounds like it's barely hanging on sometimes. So that cracks me up. So I'm ready to see that in person. I had a good buddy, Sam, if you're listening to this, Rainbow Kitten Surprise. They're going to be at Bonnaroo. You're the one who introduced me to them. That's that da 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 in a kitchen, something like that. What it's like one of their most popular songs. Someone knows what I'm trying to hum. STS9, I can't remember if that was one of the Rue clues or not. I do not remember. Big Wild. I do like Big Wild. That's 2018. That's 2020. EDM artist, for those who are wondering. Big Wild, so I think I think there's only one album, and the others were EPs. But that album, it's got City of Sound on it. That's a great album. Listen to top and bottom. If you go walking, jogging, just work out in general, I would recommend listening to the album that has City of Sound on it. That is a good one. And speaking of artists with good albums, this is technically their debut album, the Band Camino. Bonnaroo 2020. Like I mentioned at the very beginning, there's a couple of repeats in here, which I don't mind that because artists make new music, they get better at their live shows. And plus, like if you like their show prior, why would you not want to see it again? But the Band Camino, haven't listened to their last album, but the one with the four of them on the cover, it's got the red background. That's another top to bottom album. You know, I should be fancy. I should start saying record. It's like people who watch movies and they call it film. Should listen to that record. But moving on. Elderbrook, like I mentioned, man, I'm gonna break a record saying that. They're at Bonnaroo 2020. 21, I take that back, 21. That's an artist definitely worth checking out. And if I miss any artist, I do apologize. Like it's hard to know every single artist off the top. Which if you do, that is surprising. But next, moving on to Sunday, I think this could possibly be the most exciting headliner or the one people are most excited for, and that would be Foo Fighters. This is like Foo Fighters' second time in 3 years being on the Bonnaroo list, and this would be their first time playing at Bonnaroo because of a hurricane. My goodness, that's still shocking. A freaking hurricane ended Bonnaroo or canceled a Bonnaroo. That's amazing. But no Taylor Hawkins, R.I.P. And the reason why I say that is because some people thought the band could have possibly been done. I've always wanted to hear Everlong. That's honestly one of my favorite drum songs. And part of that goes back to Guitar Hero World Tour. And by the way, ladies, I did play on Expert. I still can. Expert Plus, by the way. But World Tour did not have Expert Plus. For those who remember all the details of that, that's awesome. But Foo Fighters, that's going to be a great show. That's one everyone's kind of been waiting on. I'm glad to see Foo Fighters in my morning jacket back together on the list. I do think that's pretty cool. And then speaking of being back together on the list, I noticed this was odd. The Revivalist and Revolution. Last time they were at Bonnaroo was 2018, and here they are back, and they're back on the same day too. That's very weird. But when I saw Revolution was on the list, because when I first read it, I thought it was Revivalist, but I'm like, wait, that's them right there. So I'm like, boom, that's Revolution. If you kind of like that reggae sound, I don't want to say it's pop to it. No. Just go listen to them. Sometimes people's opinions are on music or try to shove it into a genre or put it in a corner. Like, that doesn't do it justice. So go look up Revolution. Recommend that. I'm gonna get ahead of myself because I went from Foo Fighters to those two when Paramore next in line. Paramore was back at Bonnaroo. 2018 was the last time they were there. I believe that was coming off their more pop album with I Told You So and Hard Times, because I remember they played both of those. And I think they played That's What You Get too, because that's where I was talking about at the beginning. They've been back and forth on playing Misery Business, and they didn't play Crush. I'm still excited for Paramore. Still want to see them, but when it comes to the OG classics, me being a pop punk fan, but also loving Bonnaroo and seeing the two kind of meshing together, gotta love it. Let me see. I already talked about Revolution. Hippocampus, that'd be another one. Peach Pit. Those who at the 2019 Bonnaroo. Peach Pit was, I don't know if they were the first artist on Thursday. I know that was the first show I was at. And what's funny about Peach Pit is that I was by myself at Peach Pit. My friends were on another side of the, I can't remember if it was this tent or that tent. And out of nowhere, some guys started bleeding from his head, started flipping out, going crazy. My buddy's girlfriend passed out. and security had to tackle this guy, and I've heard other people talk about that. So anybody at the Peach Pit show and you saw that whole fiasco, I missed it. My friends were right in front of that, so that'd be awesome if you guys saw that too. Because that happened. Anyone who was at the beginning of the Pigeons playing ping pong show, some guy got tranquilized. That was crazy. There was some arguing going on. I walked away. I didn't want to get a part of that. It never got to the point where it felt like there was going to be a fist fight, but you could just tell that, like, hey, we need to cut this off. There's a lot of barking going on, and it all got worked out. But apparently the guy that was messed up on whatever, he walked away and kept acting a fool to the point that security got involved. Going off course, also, Bonnaroo, radiate positivity, most positive place I've been to. I think last year there might have been 40,000 people. I think it caps out at 80,000 because it takes one person to be a jackass or someone to be rude, but the odds of that are low because the vibe, the energy, the atmosphere, the positivity, it's a beautiful place. So if you're always worried about that, like, man, I got a bad experience with the concerts, hey, sometimes it happens, but Bonnaroo is positive, and positivity, if that line makes sense. But yes, I can't harp that enough. I love the vibe, the energy, the atmosphere, just all of the above. So going in with a good mindset, going in to have a good time, trying to make it great. You know, if you go by yourself, if you bring your friends, whatever. I always tell people to come prepared to camp. Make sure you check all your boxes on that. Stay hydrated, eat well. Well, eat what you want. You're on a vacation. But just go in, good mindset, and have a great time. But back to Sunday, I'm going through here. France Fernand. I know there's a bit of a France Fernand crowd. All I really know is Take Me Out, and that's really about it. I'll be honest. So that's gonna be on my list of artists that I'm gonna be look up. Finishing on Sunday, Roman Silver is about the only other one that I recognize off the top. So, but I think I covered a lot of what I wanted to say on this. But like I mentioned, the sooner you buy tickets, the better, because the tickets do sell in tiers. There is like GA Plus, which gives you like a little bit more access to like certain areas, I think, or you might get your own little breakfast or your own little bar. VIP, I bought VIP for 20 and 21, and for the what stage and the not the who stage, the what, the where. Gosh, dang, these stages get me confused. This be my fourth time going. But one of the two big stages, it's not this tent, and they weren't on that tent or the VIP access, but there's a front gate in the front. So if you get VIP, you'll be in front of everybody. But I noticed if you show up early or you go to the show prior, you can still get pretty close. I can't say that for like examples like Stevie Nicks, where everybody goes to that show because it's the last one, or like Foo Fighters, but I would say majority of the time you can still get close, because one thing that Bonnaroo start doing is that they'll have other artists playing as a headliners going, and I like that because it spreads everybody out. So now you can get closer to your favorite artist, and it's not so crowded. I remember Childish Gambino in 2020. That thing was crowded. Eminem was pretty crowded too. So I do like how they do that, but I would recommend if Foo Fighters are the closer, that would be in the main show. If you want to be close, you might need to play that outright because everybody's going to be at that show. But going through, that kind of wraps everything up music-wise. I wish I could tell you guys every single artist, but like I mentioned, I just wanted to make this, just to give you my thoughts and opinion off the dome, because I like to hear everyone's opinions. Reddit sometimes can be a little bit too negative, but I really just followed Reddit for 21, and like no one really knew what was going on for 21 with that hurricane, so I'm not going to hold that against it. But with that said, I like the list. I think it's solid from the get-go. I know somebody's not happy I didn't mention Pixies. I'm looking at the list again on my TV. I've seen Pixies. They opened up for Weezer when I saw them. But no, if anyone's listening to this, I'd like to see you guys Mention in the comments. What do you think? Let's not bash it to death if you don't like it. But like I mentioned, it's hard to judge when you don't know the whole entire poster. Me off the top, I like it. I love it. And I want some more of it. But with that being said, do your own research. And I hope to see you guys at the farm and seeing you have a happy roo. Bonnaroo! Y'all have a good one.